Hey guys, well we got another engine overhaul job. This one we're going to be pulling out. This is a old Freightliner Classic with an N-14 Cummins in it, and this one here has got oil pressure problems, and it's got really bad blow-by, and the rear seal's leaking like a sieve. And I just told him, I said, well, if the rear seal's leaking on it, let's just pull it out and do it. And that's what we're going to wind up doing here. These N-14s were really nice to work on, you know. But I got most of everything. I'm going to have to fix this one radiator mount bolt. The way this tubing's made, the bolt goes up through this tubing, and you can't get on it to hold it. So the bolt goes through this square tubing they got on here, and they had it tacked. The head of the bolt was tacked to the tubing to keep from turning. Well, the tack broke loose, and it was just spinning on me. So the only thing I could do is take the torch and blow the end of it off and pull the radiator out. So I'll have to take these two bolts off this tubing and then put a new bolt in there and tack a new bolt in there. But my wife and her chickens, we got plenty of chickens around here to deal with. Look at the damn chicken she's got. Some women are addicted to dope. Mine's addicted to chickens. Let me shut the door because I don't want chickens in my shop. No chickens in the shop. Anyway, let's see here. We got to take the ground off and battery cables off the starter. What else? I got the fuel lines off. Power steering suction line needs to come off of there. And the discharge pressure line, obviously. So basically, I think the only thing I got left on this side to take off, we'll probably pull these on off of here out of the way. And then we got to come over to the exhaust side. These are relatively easy compared to the newer trucks, like working on a new PACCAR pile of junk. These are like, man, a cakewalk. Obviously, the downpipe on the turbo. Oh, what's all this crap? AC stuff. I wanted to save his. It looks like to me, I didn't even check it with a set of gauges or anything, but I think he's got the AC system working because everything looked like it was new on it. So I was trying to save his refrigerant. So anyways, guys, I'm going to take a few things off, and I need to let this camera charge up. It's only at like 30%. And I'll take these battery cables and this stuff off, and then we gotta get back in here and get the bell housings loose on that and figure out what we're gonna do as far as I'm trying to think this through. I think I'll leave the clutch on the end of the transmission. I think I'll reach up through the inspection plate, and that way I don't have near as much when I'm pulling the engine, I don't have near as much input shaft to pull out of the clutch, you know. All you're doing is really unhooking the pilot, and then the clutch can stay on the input shaft. It just seems to go way, way easier when you do it that way. Anyways, I'll charge this camera up. Okay, I've been letting the battery charge up. I thought I'd give you a little while I'm in here. I've been wiring on the squeeze. Wiring this whole instrument cluster. Well, I took a plate. I cut a square out of the dash. I made a template and cut this out to fit that cluster, and I've got some tabs welded in here to where the cluster sits up against the tabs, and I gotta put them in there, mark the holes, and then tap them, drill them and tap them, and that way the cluster, I had it in here, it mounts really nice. But these are all the wires going to the cluster. These are the telltales for the warning lights, and there's a gauge cluster plug and a switch cluster plug. So I've been working on that as well. We're getting there. Anyway, so I got everything off pretty certain I got everything off the exhaust side. We got the speed sensor unhooked for engine speed. This coolant line, it was bracketed inside the block. Got the downpipe loose, got the binary switch loose for the AC, which is Should be that one right there. Yeah, it was running up to here. Let's see, that's loose. Got the alternator wires loose. I don't see anything else over here. It's going to prohibit me from getting it out. Okay, let's get the ratchet and let's get the battery cables to ground and power off the starter here. Where can I even set you guys at? Not really certain where to set you at. Is there something metal here to stick this thing to? That might work. Let's see if I can point you down in there. So I got the signal wire off the relay right there. Already got that loose. Got to get that return line loose. I don't need to forget about that. Well, he's updated it and put the aftermarket gear reduction starter in this thing. That's always helpful. Don't got one of them big old Delco MT, what are they, 42s? These are MT39s. These are way better. They spin over faster. They're easier to change because they're lighter. You don't have to try to wrestle that thing. I like them. I see one with an old Delco in it, an old MT42. I just go, just getting older. I don't like wrestling them around anymore. So they're having a bunch of white wires have power on them. That's usually on these trucks. The white wires are grounds. Maybe the color's changed or something on that wire. That's kind of odd. They've got about everything on the truck running to the positive post of the solenoid, so a lot of power's going to it. What we're gonna do is go get a zip tie and wrap it through all the eyes of it. That way I know all that stuff goes. I'll go back together maybe. I'm kind of a little bit confused here because what's this wire going to down here? Oh, this is all part. Oh, okay, never mind. So this one's all part of the starter itself, coming off the fuel shut off or the starter relay. So I don't need to mess with that. But I do want to take a zip tie and wrap it through the eye of all these positives. That way something doesn't get mixed up when I go back together. Zip tie. Me and my wife were talking last night. She goes, honey, she said, you finally get your daughter that big expense of paying her college and get all that paid for. Finally get all that paid for where we can finally start putting some savings away, and then they collapse the economy. She goes, it's just everything always, yeah, it's been the story of my life. I've never been able to really have anything because it's all just gone from in one hand and right out the other. That's just the way it's always been. But what are you gonna do? We're still eating and breathing, and for now, until the government says we can't do that anymore either, I guess. They'll outlaw that pretty soon too. What the heck's going on here? Well, that's a nice zip tie, huh? The little tab. The little tab's not even in it to lock it. It's crazy how I'm serious. I was telling a guy the other day, I said, you can't even get a good zip tie anymore. I said, half these zip ties I get, they break as soon as I go to tighten them up, or the little lock tab's not in them. I mean, we can't even make a zip tie for... That's just crazy. You wouldn't think that would be like, that complicated of an ordeal to produce a zip tie, but I'm gonna leave that big wire alone because it'll all sag down once I actually, what I probably want to do here, I know what I'm going to do. Okay, the two big wires are the battery cables. I'm going to tie those two together. That way they are together. And once they come down, they'll be together. I won't zip tie the grounds because that'll create confusion. I'll just zip tie, a black zip tie through all the positives. That way we know that all the one zip tied all go up on the positive. If you're ever confused and you do lose track of these wires, just hook the batteries up and just touch them. Just touch them on the post of the either the ground, or if you're unsure, if it arcs, it's on the wrong one. Okay, so that's on there. Okay, all right, let's get the grounds off. Get this engine out of here and start getting the cylinder heads and the pan and all that good stuff off of there. I need to dump the oil on it before I pull it out. It'd be a lot easier dumping the oil right here than it will be swinging around on the crane. I might have to go down to Harbor Freight or something and buy some stands to block this thing up on while I'm working on it. Either that or I can bring that engine stand from the shop down there up here, which I really don't want to do. Okay, that's a ground there. Okay, all those are unhooked. So that part is pretty well done. Now they got those battery cables bracketed to the bottom of the pan edge. Which means, let's get under there and zip them loose. Oh man, we got so much junk laying around here. Four-wheelers and crap I need to sell and get rid of or do something with them. I don't even have time to ride them anymore. Oh yeah, the oil, before I do that, maybe better, let's see if the old Leatherman can save me a trip, if I can dig around in here enough to find it. Let's see if I can, it'd be really nice if that thing will save me a trip to the toolbox. Man, okay, battery cables are loose. That's what we wanted. And what we gotta do is get the inspection plate off, start pulling the clutch bolts out of the flywheel. And we'll just leave the clutch on the end of the input shaft. Good. We'll go ahead and probably go ahead. Let's see what else we got. Power steering stuff to take off. parts there, pressure line, suction line. And then I think that's pretty much, well, I think this wire here needs to come unplugged. Yep, that's got to come unplugged. I have to cut this zip tie here though. Everything I think over here is unplugged, ready to be yarded out of there. This harness here should stay here. We're going to have motor mounts back there on the bell housing that we got to pull off. What do we got for mounts right here? Those 3/4 inch bolts for these mounts, or what are they? Yeah, they're 3/4 inch bolts there. What do we got on the back for mounts? This is almost like 5/8 bolts on the back. Like they didn't go near as big on the back bolts as they did on the front bolts. Interesting. Okay. Chicken, what are you doing? I'll go get me another cup of coffee. Alright folks, we're gonna start pulling this bolts out of this. I forgot I gotta get an 1 5/16 and get on that accessory drive to where we can get a lens off here on the old camera. I had a light here somewhere. And yeah, we'll just reach in here and pull the clutch bolts off the flywheel. He definitely greases his stuff. Can't complain about that. Some guys never grease anything. I got to go down there to the McDowell, and I don't know if that's going to happen today. It might be tomorrow. I need to go down there and need to get a shop towel. Greasy son of a gun. I used to make fun of them guys that wore these rubber gloves, and I'll tell you what, that was stupid of me, because I'll tell you what, they're some of the best things I think they ever had, is these rubber gloves. Sure protect your hands. I know that oil affects your hands, because before I started wearing them, I was having problems with my hands really aching at night. And ever since I started wearing these more often, I don't have the problems with my hands anymore, aching on me all the time. Let's get this. And I don't know if I have, let's see, find the 1 5/16 socket, which should be that one right there. I think that's 1 7/16. Oh, I got so many sockets, I don't know where I wound up putting that one. That looks like 1.5 inches. That's not it. Okay, Warren, what did you do? I do not see it. Alright, well, must be up here then. 1.5 inches. That's it right there. Okay. run around and get her ripped out of there. Ugh. Did I go too far or not far enough? I did not go far enough. Hang on. Yeah, this thing has got no compression. It turns over way too easy. And I went too far. Go back the other way. Well, I'm gonna get these out, guys, and we got to get something under here to block up the transmission, and then we'll start pulling bell housing bolts. Hey guys, so this is going to be kind of a series. We'll break this one up into series. There's too much involved and to make one continuous video on it because it's an out-of-frame rebuild. I mean, on these N-14s, and there's quite a bit more involved, you know, instead of like a IS6 with an overhead cam on it. So on these N-14s, you got to pull the cam followers, and we're going to be putting cam bearings in it and pulling the crank on it and putting all the mains in it, and so it's going to be a little bit more in depth. So anyways, I'm going to break this up into series as we go along here. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.